Donegal, welcome to Ahead of the Curve.
Great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, this is our first Skype interview with a video, so I couldn't have picked a better, more patient person for this, and I don't think I could have picked a better person at a better location at the current moment. So, I mean, you're in Hawaii for those that are wondering and can hear the beach in the background, and I mean, I'm glad you were able to take some time to be able to record with us.
Well, I appreciate it. I owed you since I screwed up our first attempt at this when I couldn't get my time zones right. But yeah, it's not a bad place to do this. We're over here for our series against UH, and big weekend for us, second to last weekend of the year, and got a chance to if the math falls right, we've got a chance to even clinch the conference title if we sweep and get a couple losses from Cal Poly. So exciting weekend for us. Trying to keep it a business trip. It's a little challenging in Honolulu to do that, but we're trying to keep the guys on the straight and narrow for the weekend and see if we can't come away with a good trip.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, you've been on my radar for a while after an article that I read that was really well done, and just talking about the different transformations that you guys have done and how you've transformed an offense. And we've chatted a little bit back and forth, which has been really interesting because I feel like we're a little bit kindred spirits, and we're trying to just mash the baseball and get better hitters and all of this different stuff. But I want to know personally, and I'm sure our guests want to know a little bit about your baseball background and why you decided to get into coaching.
My background is not too glorious or exciting. I grew up in a tiny little town, about 400 people in the middle of nowhere, Oregon. I was a baseball nut. My uncle played professionally and was a legendary junior college coach in the Northwest, and actually gave me my start coaching. And so I grew up with a baseball bug, but I didn't really have an outlet for it. And I kind of taught myself a little bit, and wasn't a great player. I could run and defend a little bit and do those things, and I knew that I wanted to get out and chase that, and I got an opportunity to go to a small school called Linfield College near Portland with a legendary coach, Scott Carnahan, who coached the USA team, and coach Scott Brocious, who played in the big leagues for a long time and
awesome.
is now with USA Baseball. And just sort of lucked out, and they took a chance on me, and my college career was even less glamorous. I got hurt a bunch of times and never really got on track, and mm-hmm. Looking back now, it's what got me into coaching, because I had to watch a lot. I had to sit with a cast on or a boot on or with a bag of ice or whatever it was for the day and watch a lot. It made me sort of understand it differently. And I think the fact that I had to learn a little bit on my own, it just gave me some perspective on the other parts of the game versus just playing and being good and not knowing why you're necessarily good. So I got the bug, and Coach Carnahan was great. I always tease him. I said he was the first to realize that I was probably more valuable on a bench than in the field. And he said, "Hey, you should think about coaching." And so I did. I helped out a little bit while I was hurt, and then, like I said, my uncle Kelly Smith was the head coach at Lower Columbia College, a powerhouse, best JC program in the Northwest for a long time, for almost 20 years. And he said, "Hey, man, if you really want to do this, I think you're dumb, but you should try it. If you're going to do it, you should do it with me."
Sure.
So I went up there and I decided, hey, let me see what this thing is. And I was set to go to grad school and do some other stuff. And I thought, well, let me just see. I wasn't quite ready to be an adult, maybe, and let me just see if this coaching thing's okay. And so I did. I went up there and I got hooked. And he was great because he was able to give me some responsibility without me screwing it up too bad for him, and got to work for some really good people. And somebody gave me a job at a head coaching job 5 years later somehow, and I learned to screw that up a little bit and learned how to run a program and how not to, and bounced around a little bit. Went back to Seattle U for 2 years and worked with the hitters there. After my stint as head coach at Tacoma Community College. Then I went back to Lower Columbia for 1 year to be the head coach when my uncle retired. I thought that was where I would probably be for a long time. It's my wife's hometown. Mm-hmm. She was excited about it. We had 2 little kids at the time, and and sort of felt like, well, this is a place you could post up for a long time. And we had a really good year. We had a pretty good recruiting class, and just, timing wise, it worked out. That's when UW called and said, hey, we need somebody who can recruit the Northwest and coach hitters. And so 11 months after we thought we had posted up for a long time, we ended up flipping back and going back up to the Seattle area and headed to the University of Washington, and spent 5 years there. Had a great time and obviously some success in what's called World Series last year. Got an opportunity to do some cool stuff there, and was ready for kind of a new opportunity and a chance to do some things a little bit differently and work with someone maybe a little more aligned with my development philosophy and how I want to do stuff in the family piece of it. So came down here this summer to join Coach Fergus in Santa Barbara, and it's been amazing so far.
And you guys have had a fantastic season so far, and hopefully you guys clinch this weekend, like you said, that you mathematically could possibly do that. So best of luck, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. But at the time of the people listening, this is going to air in July, so we're all at this point trying to get ready for the fall and what we're going to do and what we're going to change, what we're trying to learn. So if you don't mind, talk to us about what you guys did this last fall or what you're thinking of doing different this upcoming fall. And let's just, go through a typical week and just kind of share everything that you've got, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I've got this question from quite a few people because, obviously we've had some success this year. And it was, it's the contrast is stark from what they had done the last couple of years offensively, from my perspective, and then what we've done this year. And obviously the record is pretty good, and it sort of lends itself to some questions like this, which is, oh my God, what are you guys doing? Is there some secret sauce to it, or is there something sort of cutting edge or something new that you're trying? And I think the best answer I could give is no. We don't do anything that I don't think a lot of people are doing, and your podcast has had some incredible guys on it, and I think hitting Twitter, despite its inherent flaws and craziness and all of that, has some really good dudes on there, and there's some really smart people out there. And I tell everybody, I'm not the best drill guy in the world. I'm not the best mechanics guy in the world. I'm not the best instructor in the world. What we try and do every day is create an environment where our guys feel safe and comfortable and empowered to try and get better.
I love that.
And I think that's what we did more than anything. I walked into an incredible situation. I had good players. I had really talented kids. I had physical kids. We had some speed. We had some power. We had a lot of pieces, and they were just hungry for just a little bit something different and somebody to say, hey, we got your back, and go get them and explore and learn some things, and not be afraid to try new things and take some risks and all of that. And I tell our guys almost every day, hitting's really hard. We're going to have days, no matter how good you are, that you're not very good. Like, this is the bottom line. You're not going to be good every day. We're going to run into a pitcher who's on his game and just shoves it, and we're going to get pushed around, and we're going to have days where we just miss, and we're going to have days where we don't see it as well. We're going to have days where the wind's blowing in, and you can't control any of that. What we can control is how we prepare to do the best we can and fight through the slow times. And that's what we started out with in the fall. First team meeting, Coach Fontino and I, who were both new, we just said, hey, listen, we're here for you. We came here for you, and we're going to do this together. We're going to do it side by side. If we get 2 hit on a day, I got 2 hit, not just you. We're all in this together. We're going to try some stuff. We're going to learn. Anything we do change, anything we implement, anything we do from a teaching or approach standpoint or from an adjustment standpoint is done together. It's collaborative. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Sure. I'm going to say, hey, I think this might work for you. Let's try it. What does this do to your brain? How does this affect you? What does this make you feel? What does this make you think about? So that's the thing that we do most of all is just we try and create an environment, like I said, where guys feel empowered to try stuff and not be afraid. So we kicked it off right away with that and saying, hey, what are you good at? What are you not good at? What gives you a hard time? And let's try and accentuate the things that you're really good about, and we'll try and mask the other stuff and work on them as we go. And that's I think the most important thing as a hitting coach, certainly at our level, I think, because there's already some ability. I think every level has its challenges. The lower levels, obviously, you need to teach more mechanics because they don't know their swing yet.
Sure.
But at our level, our guys are pretty good. There's some ability already. They know their swings to a certain degree. And we just try and make sure that we're there to help them try and be great.
No, I really like that. And I love the safety piece that you included in that. It's, hey, I'm here for you guys. And I've been reading a lot of psychology stuff. I'm teaching a psychology class or 2 sections next year. And so I've been trying to brush up on it a little bit. And they talk about one of the biggest things with building relationships is it has to start from a baseline of safety and a safe environment to where you're not afraid to share, you're not afraid to collaborate and things like that. And so logistically speaking, you hit on it a little bit, but I want to know, once you guys got your foot in the door and you said, hey, we're here for you guys, what did the process of, okay, now let's start to get to work a little bit. Now let's start to, maybe I don't like this about your swing. What do you think about that? And just, it's really hard with the first year, especially because they don't know you all that well. And so what did that process at least transition from day one to now we're here now? I'm sure they all trust you, but what was the nitty gritty in the middle and how did that go about?
Yeah, I wish I had some really cool, direct and specific answers to some of these things because, I wish there was a formula that you could follow. I wish there was a format that you say, hey, just do these things and guys will trust you and it'll all be okay and guys will get better. I just don't think that's how it is. I think, as you alluded to, human psychology is we are so on the surface level of human psychology. It's ridiculous. We don't know why we think certain things, why the brain responds to certain things, and everybody's so different that I think if you try and put it in a box and you try and say, hey, these are the things that we're going to do, and if we just follow the script, we'll be fine. I look at it in terms of I'm going to be me, and I'm going to come in right away, and I'm going to show you that it's all real. It's not an act. I'm not going to act like a coach. I'm not going to tell you here's what I know and here's why you should listen to me. I don't tell them my resume. I don't tell them anything. Like I'm here, and we'll start to get to know each other that way. And I think it's like anything. You meet certain people in life, and some people you're like, I don't know about that guy, and other people are like, I don't know. He was cool. He was fun. We hit it off. We had a good vibe, and so that's what we try and do every day. And we just started off with that. I said, hey, here's me, and my shtick or whatever that people who don't like me might say is it's just me, and my hair's a little too long and out of control, and I've got probably a few too many tattoos for most baseball coaches' likings, and I got a funny name, and I've got an unglorious baseball background, and but I don't care. That's just, I think guys will respond to that because they're like, hey, you're not trying to hide anything, you're not trying to be somebody, and so
you're just
we
trying
start
to help
off
us get
just
better.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here for you, and if you see that I'm not putting up a facade and I'm not trying to play a role, then I think it's easier to go, okay, well, I'll give him a shot. And that's what we do every day. We have some fun. We talk a lot of shit. You may have to bleep that out, but we run our mouths at each other all day. They know they can make fun of me. I'm going to make fun of them. We're going to create an environment where nobody's above anybody else. Like, I don't care how good you are, how many homers you hit, or if you're the last guy on the bench. We're all trying to get better here. We're all in this together, including myself. I tell them every day, I don't have the answers. We'll figure it out together. There's no straight line to success. Let's just work together, and we'll figure this thing out. I think, too, I had a conversation with our center fielder, Tommy Jews, really, really talented kid, has put up some really big numbers this year. He struggles most of all with sort of the impatience of wanting to be great. He knows he's capable of it. People tell him all the time he's capable of it, and he wants to be great right away, and he wants to be great every day, which is awesome. And I just love coaching him because he wants to be great, truly.
Right.
But he also gets impatient with it, and when he struggles, he feels like it's sort of a personal failing, or he's missed something, and if I just find the answer, then I won't struggle again. And I tell him all the time, like, that's not how this works. It's not a straight line in there, and if we get caught up in trying to find the right answer, then we give ourselves problems. And he and I were having a conversation the other day where he said he was sort of laughing about hitting Twitter. All the gurus out there and all the people that put their opinions out there, and it tends to be a little bit of a battle over who's right.
Right.
And he goes, well, what do you think? Like, which camp do you fall in, and which guy? I'm like, I don't think I fall in anywhere. I think there's some really good stuff out there, and I think one of the things that the kids that we're coaching now have access to is incredible. They have access to so much more information than we did. I told him this. I said, I didn't know anything about this one. Literally nothing when I played.
Right.
And so if a coach told me to do something, well, I listened because I didn't know anything. I assume maybe you know. So, but now kids have so much more information. It doesn't mean they don't want your help. And I think some of the old school coaches get a little nervous about that because they think kids are, and I'm sure there is some kids who think, well, hey, I don't need your help because I've got Twitter. I can do this by myself. But I think the vast majority of kids just, hey, I've got all this information. I'm trying to figure out what's real, what's not, what's applicable to me, and I need someone's help to guide me through that. So that's how I look at it more than anything is I'm helping guide you through your search for your swing and your approach and your style. And I think that's a cool thing. I think it's awesome. It doesn't scare me at all to think that my guys know things about the mechanics of the swing or what's actually happening, because we don't try and trick them, and certain guys need cues that are vastly different from other guys, and that's okay. And if everybody understands that everything we do is about trying to find something for you specifically, that trust is easy to build because that's ultimately what people want is, do I feel like you're actually trying to help me versus just the group or just the team or just the program? Like everybody's a little bit selfish in that way. And that's why you go to college to play baseball. I want to play in the big leagues. So I want to go someplace where I can try and make that happen. If I don't feel like those people that I've entrusted with my career are actually trying to help me specifically, then how can I give myself to the team? And how can I be unselfish? And how can I be a team player? And how can I continue to grow? Because I'm not being represented and I'm not being backed. And that's the trust piece that you get to if you approach it from that standpoint. And that's what we do every day is we're here for you. We'll figure this out together. You have a bad day. That's okay. I got your back. We'll figure it out. We're good. We'll get there. And I think when you approach it like that and you're genuine about it, kids can see that. Their bullshit meters are incredibly good. They're really good at figuring out who's posing and who's full of it. And so I think that's ultimately what we do best here is we're genuine with our guys. We're excited about helping them, and they know that.
Well, we've been talking for 20 minutes, and you can definitely tell the authenticity that you exude. Like you're literally like, but just between you and I can just tell how authentic that you are, and you're not trying to be somebody that you're not. And you're right. I think more than anything, we gripe about this generation sometimes, but you're right. Their BS meter is extremely high, and their emotional intelligence is fairly high as well. And I'm right there with you. And so let's go to the summer before you started. Okay. And you're leaving Washington, you're coming here. And you're saying, okay, I really want to get this accomplished in the fall. These are my goals. Maybe you did it in an interview or you did this whenever you guys are talking in the summer and you guys are you're hashing it out. What were your main goals that you were like, I've got to do this fall for us to be successful? Because again, in the time that we're listening now, that's what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to revamp or not necessarily reinvent, but just add a couple of things that's going to help everybody in our program to get better. So what were your goals whenever you started there?
I didn't have any goals, honestly. And I don't know if that's the answer that the listeners want to hear. Because again, I think we all look for, and I think this is a good thing in a lot of ways. We're looking for a better way. Like I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to get better. Give me a template to do that. If I can continue to adjust my template, then I'll be a better coach because I'll be more organized and more on top of things, and I'll be more diligent about reaching those goals. I think there's some really good, valuable pieces to that mentality. What I would tell you is that's not how I work.
Okay.
I'm not a huge list guy. Like, we got to get all of these things done. We have to progress from swing mechanics to team offense to short game to I don't do that because I don't want to get boxed into what my guys need. So if you are a coach who's, it'll be different next year because I'll know the guys that we have coming back. I'll know the incoming guys to a large degree, and I'll be a little farther along in understanding what their needs might be.
Mm-hmm.
But last year I didn't want to box myself into that. I obviously talked to Coach Checkets about, hey, what do we got? Tell me about these guys, and he gave me a great rundown on what they'd done well, what they'd struggled with, what he felt like their emotional state was in the larger sense of their baseball careers, not who's high strung and who's not, but just where are their heads at with their progress as a player. So I had that information, but I intentionally went into the fall meetings with, I'm not going to lay it out yet because I want to talk to them and I want to feel that. And I guess trusting that, as you call it, the emotional intelligence, trusting that part of what I do and what Coach Fontino and I were going to find out when we got into that room, I didn't want to be boxed in. I didn't want to have some predispositions to, I want to do this, this, and this, because it isn't about my style. Like, I don't have a style. People ask me that all the time. What kind of hitting style do you have? And I said, I don't. Like, I don't know that two offenses that were very, very similar. Like, I don't know that you could pick out a guy. Well, that guy played for Ferg. I can see it in his swing. I don't think we do that. We try and tailor it around what we're good at. And obviously you recruit to what you're trying to do to your ballpark or your conference or what you like to do. There's certain aspects of that in the question. We want to hit homers and we want to hit the ball really hard. So we like physical guys if we can find them. But we want some speed in there. We want some hybrid guys that can do a little bit of both and some versatility. All those things are great. But
sure.
Last summer what I said was, okay, let me lay out the things that we always need to do, right? We gotta have some mechanics work. We gotta figure out, get everybody a certain baseline of ability from a mechanics standpoint. We want to obviously teach some team offensive concepts. We don't bunt a lot. I think we're the second fewest sacrifice bunts in our conference. So we don't do that a lot, but there's a time and place when that's going to come into play, and we want to use it as a weapon if we can. We also have some guys with some speed, so we're going to add the drag push in there and some slash and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have a component of that. We're going to have some base running components that we obviously got to get at. So you have some pieces that hey, I want to hit these points, and I think every good hitting coach has a list of things that are important to him, and I think figuring out percentages that you want to spend time on. I think sometimes we lose that. I think sometimes those plays that stick out in our mind when we screw them up, the squeeze. We've called squeeze one time this year. So should I work on that, 15% of my practice time?
Right.
I don't think so, right? Now, if we screw it up, it looks worse and it stands out in your mind. And so you sort of think, well, maybe I should do it more so we don't screw it up. But it's also a play that we almost never use.
Right.
So I think sometimes, we got to look at how we divide our time and those sort of things. So I did some of that. I said, hey, here are the things that I think we need based on the information I do have. We're probably going to need to do these things. And you lay out the timing of those things. But we went into it with sort of a blank slate of getting with our guys and letting them lead us where they needed to go.
I like that.
And adjusting as we went. Now, you can create a framework from a timing standpoint, and you can certainly set some parameters about how to approach preparing. And I think that's what I did more than anything as I went into the fall was I wanted to make sure that they know how to do this themselves. I almost look at it, the more I do this, as the less that I have to be involved from a hand-holding standpoint, the better. The more that I can take myself out of the equation, the better. Creating curious learners that ask questions versus asking for the answers.
Sure.
That want to have a conversation. So how do I prepare myself? How do I get myself ready? How do I use those hours that I'm not with the coaching staff to get better? So the real framework that we lay out in detail from an organizational standpoint is how to build the timing and usage of your time management, especially in the fall, as we're trying to build the engine, so to speak.
Right, I love
So that's what we did with guys, is laying that out. Like, here's the time we're going to have together. Here are the things that we can do together that's most important from a teaching standpoint. But here's what we really need to do on this other side is prepare you to do this on your own.
No, I love that. And you're creating learners. You're not creating robots. And that's something that I can fully get behind as a teacher, especially. I think that that I always revert to that. And I love that you use the word curious, and that's something that if we can promote that, we've got them, and they're locked in. And there's so many different directions that we can go with that. And I really love your philosophy, and this may not be a good question for you because you said several times that you don't like to be boxed in, but I think for myself and I think for our listeners, we're always looking for how do people judge the swing, or how, and there's so many different ways, but okay, so you get there, you're a couple weeks in, and you're finally like, okay, maybe we need to talk about some different changes, and we can word it into ways that the kids think that they came up with it or whatever. But as you're going through a video or you're talking with the kids, I mean, what are some different things that you feel like, maybe not absolutes, but things that you look for that really good players do on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I think the most important factor for me when I watch, whether it's a high school guy that I'm maybe going to recruit, or certainly one of my own guys that I'm trying to get better, is that innate timing, that innate ability to match up what's happening in the external environment, the external factors, and contextual clues from a visual and neurological standpoint. What's coming at me, and how do I respond to that? That's the biggest thing, and that's really difficult sometimes to see, sometimes to judge, because the velocity and the pitching that you're seeing can vary so widely. Your training environment can really factor into that. A lot of guys can fool you on a tee or front toss, or even on a machine that they know the mechanism of. So trying to put them in positions where you challenge and stretch them, and to see how they respond. And we call it the dance ability. I use that analogy of being able to dance with the pitcher, because if you've ever danced, if you ever actually dance like with a partner, you have to feel their rhythm, right? If the good ones, you're like, man, they're working in coordination, they're synced up. When they push back and the other person gives, and they dip together and they can spin and the hands connect at the right moment, there's no, are you going to go? I'll meet you here. And there's no awkwardness to it. And you look at the best hitters, it looks like that. It looks effortless. They're always ready. They're back and loaded, and they're ready to launch when the ball is coming. And they're not rushed. They're not hurried. They're not panicked. And they can feel their way through any velocity or pitch recognition issues, right? And so what we try and get guys to understand is there's an innate body awareness that has to be developed. Some guys are really, really good at it, and you want those guys. And then some guys can get better at it, and you're trying to develop that. And what you want guys, back to the curious learner part, is, all right, well, why do I struggle with that? Because the most common answer you get, I think, at least for me, when I ask guys, well, hey, what happened there? Why was that round a BP bad, or why was the swing bad? They're like, well, I just think my timing was off. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Of course your timing was off. You got jammed, or you were late, or you were early, or whatever. That's the easiest cop-out answer. Why was your timing off? What happened? Why did you panic? Because that's what your brain does. If your timing doesn't feel right, and it's usually because you're late. So if you feel late, you feel rushed, and your brain panics. You make poor decisions. And understanding what our eyes tell us, and then what we do with that wiring. So when we see a ball in a certain window, from the hand, from the arm slot, from whatever, our brain processes that and tells our body what to do. And it's subconscious. It just happens like that. But we need to figure out what we're seeing and what our body does in reaction to that, and rewire it sometimes to the old how I feel it's in, so I'm going to spin, right, and I'm going to smother it probably, and I'm going to hook it. And we need to rewire the way our brain processes that, and in doesn't scare us anymore. We can stay behind it. We can get the hands inside. We can clear the hips. We can do whatever we're going to do. We can scissor. We can use our move that we've developed to fight that. We're early, and it's breaking ball, and we realize that, our foot's already down, and we realize, soft. Now what's my move? Instead of panicking and lunging and reaching and poking at it and the things that most of us all do when we get fooled, we retrain our brain to respond in a different way, and we can sync, we can scissor, we can do whatever it is. So getting guys to understand that piece of it, that they are in control of their reaction to things, then they're empowered to make changes. And then you can mess with them. And so what we try to do is really early is test them in different ways. we do things. We go super velo. Then we have one of our managers is really good at lob BP. So he literally is like throwing lawn darts. He goes, it just drops it in, and it's so slow they can't even handle it. And they're out front, they're flailing, and they're like, I'm like, he's literally throwing it 30 miles an hour. Are you telling me you can't hit that? And they're like, well, I can, but why aren't I? I'm like, yeah, it's too slow. Well, okay. It's the old adage, well, it's too slow. Slow it harder for me. I'm better against velo. Okay. That tells you that your mechanism is off somewhere, and your recognition and your innate timing is off. So we can train that. So screwing with the timing, screwing with the look. We'll do ones where we do extreme angle toss. We'll go to one side or the other, and we'll go, at an angle that just screws with your eyes, and your eyes haven't seen that before, and so your brain doesn't know how to process it. Well, when you do that, I think you're scrambling your decision-making process so much that you kind of lay it bare, and now you're able to see it more about, why did your brain make you do this? What do you think happened there? As opposed to just BP, which it's so automatic anymore. They don't have any concept of what's happening or what's wrong or good. And so if you get them outside of that, something they're really uncomfortable with and they haven't dealt with, they're a little better at picking up, well, it made me feel really uncomfortable. It made me feel tied up. Great. That's a great answer. Now we can work with that. Tied up is an actual feeling we can work on. Or I felt like my eyes wanted to pull me towards it because it was away and it felt slow. So my head goes towards it. Well, great. Now we have awareness of when it feels soft or away, our eyes get pulled towards it, which means our head gets pulled towards it, which means we lose posture and we got to adjust that. So it clears that sort of old habit, locked in thinking, and gets them outside of their deal. So the thing we do is, and I said that I'm not a real big drill guy, and there's guys who have a whole laundry list of incredible drills to do, and seemingly have a fix, a drill fix for every little problem. Those guys are great. You had one on my boy Swanee, Tanner Swanson, the other day from a catching perspective. I mean, he's the drill king. He's got something for every fix. That isn't really what I do. What I try and do is just screw them up enough and get them uncomfortable and flailing around enough that they let their guard down enough to say, all right, well, let's see what's really happening here. What are my eyes and my brain telling me, and how can I adjust from there?
Right, and there's a couple different directions that I want to go with that one. But with your latest comment, I think that once we get them, to screw up and then to not directly look at us for help, I think that's when we've got them. And you mentioned that hey, we're helping them to figure it out. And so what we're trying to do is get them to, again, be curious learners and all of that. But I think that's the biggest thing is sometimes there's guys who take a swing and then they look directly to us, and that's not what we're trying to promote, because if we're the ones fixing their swings, they're going to have a really, really hard time. Another thing that has really helped us lately, because I didn't realize how big or how hard training timing was, because it wasn't necessarily hard for me. And so I've started to tell them when to go, because for the most part, we go too late. And I think that we go as soon as we can, and then when our front foot hits the ground, they're swinging. Like there's no feel for the ground, and there's no being a little bit early and sinking and then letting it go. But and that was just another one of getting them to understand. But besides the couple that you mentioned, I mean, I'm always trying to find ways of how to train timing. So is there anything else that you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're always tinkering a little bit with, let's try this, and this might not even work, but it'll be funky enough that it'll get them out of their comfort zone. We do a lot of multiple machine work too, where we have a big junior hack or a big hack attack machine that's on the tall legs. We'll stick it right over the top of a junior or two juniors, so they're lower, but the slots are lined up, so it's the same tunnel. And so we'll hold up, two balls or even, two balls, and we'll drop it into one of the machines. And
that's a good
one's a fastball, one's a break ball, one's a change of right. And our guys really tend to like that because
it's hard.
Promotes that mentality of saying, hey, I'm always can be on fastball rhythm, and I can adjust off of that. I don't have to guess, I don't have to look right, and I can really get my swing off even if it isn't what I was exactly looking for, because it's the tunnel is what screws us all up, right? The reason we don't see slider or change up or those other the secondary pitches is because the good ones come out of the same tunnel, the same slot, and they have the same look initially. The ones that are bad are easy to see, right? The guy hooks his fingers, or the arm slot drops, or he gets into tight in the elbow, or whatever it might be. Being able to train our eyes that we can pick up those contextual clues, that's great. But we also need to be able to just handle it if we don't, didn't know that it was coming or didn't even recognize it. And I get fired up when guys go, they hit a slider, an elevated slider, and they hammer it, and you go, hey, what pitch was that? And they're like,
I don't know.
I think it was a slider.
Yeah, I like that.
Was it?
That's good.
And they're not sure because they're not worried about it. They're just
Sure.
attacking elevation or sight lines and those sort of things. And I think a lot of our guys have embraced that idea of not trying to worry so much about pitch recognition and look at location recognition. I hit a pitch in this spot really well. This is where my power slot is, or this is where I'm able to drive the ball. And so if you just look in that window, you tend to have a better margin of error as opposed to trying to say, I'm going to look fastball, and now you look fastball in, away, down, because you think it's a fastball. So you swing, you expand your zone a little bit. If you just be able to say, hey, I can train myself to just hit it if it's in this window, even if I'm not 100% sure on what the pitch is. We do a lot of that sort of training, so guys can do that. Because at our level, pitchers are really good. They're trying to tunnel it, and the pitching coaches are working every day to try to get the guys for all those pitches to come out of the same slot, the same tunnel, and the same visual window. So we've got to be able to adjust to that, and I think that's one of the things that our guys have done a really good job with this year. So, in terms of those drill packages, anything we can do to create those visual training windows really helps, and get creative with it. Like, I don't know, use your machines that you've got. Get two DP guys to throw from two different slots. Stack them on one side or the other and coordinate. Like, you throw this one, I'll throw this one, and guys can mix and match. Different distances really helps too, I think. So we'll do like 3 plates, and you've got to move up and back on a fastball or a breaking ball from different angles. But just going back and forth, you have to be able to switch that timing mechanism. And the dance piece that we talked about a lot is built into that one. You don't have time. You don't get to take the next pitch. You got to hit the next pitch, and you're 2 feet further up or 2 feet further back. And being able to feel your way through that, but time the ball, not the mechanism.
Sure. Another one that we've incorporated lately, and it sounds really weird, but it's one that I stole from Doug Latta, and I thought this was the weirdest thing that I ever heard in my entire life. And he has them do a round with the machine of missing on purpose to see if they're on time with their swing. So instead of what they usually do is get in, hey, let me see one. Okay, was our body actually on time? And it's really hard, and the kids look at you really, really weird. But they're trying to train their bat path and their timing at the same time just to see and feel, okay, even if I do miss, was I on time? Did I just miss above or below? Or was I way off time and I had no concept of it? But there was an article that I referenced earlier, and I'll link it in the show notes because it's really, really good. You talked about ball or barrel, and that was something that stood out to me because I absolutely love that phrase. But tell us what that means.
It just means we're trying to find a way to blend that mix of aggression versus patience, right? And that's I think what every hitting coach is trying to do. We want to be super aggressive and live with some swing and misses on balls out of the zone because we're aggressive, or do we want to say, hey, pitchers don't throw a lot of strikes, so we should be patient and take our walks and those things. And it sort of evolved for us of how do we get guys to be good ball strike differentiators, right? And it's not even a ball strike. It's really what you hit versus what you don't hit, and what do you want to swing at versus what you don't want to swing at. So it sort of just came out one day as we're, it's walk or knock, 3-2. Hey, if he throws a ball, take it because it's a walk, or if it's in the strike zone, hit it. It sort of evolved from that of what are you looking for? Be so committed to what you're looking for in the location that you're looking for that if they throw something else, you just won't pull the trigger. You just won't do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a strike, right? You're not going to do that. And we feel like we're really aggressive if you throw something up. We're going to hammer it. We're not going to wait around. But if you want to walk us and you want to nibble and you want to get us to chase that slider just a little bit off or that change up just down and away a little bit, we're not going to do it because that doesn't fit our eye. And so that concept of if the guy's got some command issues, or he gets squirrely, or he gets nibbly, and so many pitches. I mean, I don't know how many times our guys will probably laugh if you ask them how many times in the scouting report meeting I say, hey, nothing to beat you with. Discipline wins. He can't get you out unless you chase. You know, we say that all the time.
Sure.
And pitchers are really trying to do that, right? So to further that concept of don't swing at his pitch, swing at your pitch, is if it's not your pitch, then it's a ball in our mind. And maybe they get the call, maybe they don't, but we're not worried about that. That's not our control.
Sure.
It's not the pitch we wanted to hit. So that's a ball. And then if it's in the zone, we're going to barrel it. And that's our mindset. It's throw it where I want it. I'm going to get my swing off, and I'm going to hammer it. I'm going to run my barrel at it. And that's the confidence, the aggression piece, the persona piece that we're trying to get our guys to understand is trying to do damage. And so it just sort of evolved from that of trying to blend those concepts of who we want to be and how we want to act and carry ourselves. And we want to hammer balls, but if you want to walk us or make us nibble, we're not going to do that. We're going to have some ability to separate balls from strikes. And I think in the hitting world, it's evolved a little bit. At first it was just hit homers and not worry about strikeouts, don't matter. But you see the Astros and the Red Sox have come back to realize that contact really doesn't matter, and it doesn't always have to be a homer. And that's not a true outcome world. It doesn't have to be. Walks are great and singles are great if it was in the right spot and if the game's calling for it. And the doubles are cool too. Like all of it, we'll take all of it. And I think guys like prices. Guys like things that are easy to think about. The other piece of the ball or barrel concept is the binary choice. Is we're only giving you two things to think about.
Sure.
It's swing or don't swing, right? It's the old red light, green light, right? Your green light until the ball tells you no, and yes or no, up or down. All of those things, I think, our human brains are easier, are more well equipped to attack two choices: yes or no, up or down, right? Those sorts of things. So if it's take what you want and barrel it, and we go forward. So trying to limit those things to think about, as opposed to saying, hey, you're hunting fastball, but if they throw you an elevated slider, hit that too, but leave the change up down and don't let them jam. Just there's too many things now. Sure. And we take the fear factor out of, if you get something else, then it's okay. That isn't what we're looking for, and we'll live with it. And if it's a strike at the knees, but you were looking for elevation, cool. All right, we're okay, fine. We'll continue to have what we want and hope for that mistake to happen.
Well, I love that, and I love the simplicity behind it. And you just sound like such a competitive person that I want to know, what are some different competitions that you guys do during practice?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of the normal stuff of how many in a row can you barrel, and they self judge. So you stay in there until you miss barrel, and get some fun ones because guys will get one and it'll look pretty good, but they didn't quite barrel it. They got it off the handle a little bit, and the whole group's waiting for them to, are you gonna own up to it, or are you gonna try and cheat and take it? So there's a lot of the barrel competitions. We have homer competitions. You stay in until you don't homer. We'll sometimes do BP groups where we're trying to see if all four guys in the BP group on their last rounds. We tend to end our BP rounds with one swing called winner round. Got to win a game. One pitch to win, and so we'll see if the whole group can homer or the whole group can barrel or those sort of things. We do some we call it hit and run drill or lightning, where it's sort of fast paced with base runners, and you're trying to see how many in a row you can hit on line or barrel up, and everybody's running. You've got base runners with it, and it's fast paced, and so guys got to you got to deal with a little bit of fatigue and a little bit of pace issue and challenging your brain to do it while you're not, where you can't actually stand in there and take a breath and slow down and dial in. You just got to react and trust your training on those sort of things. A lot of that sort of stuff. We do a lot of data collection. So we have a track man and we have blast motion, and so we'll track some of that stuff. And so we'll put up leaderboards sometimes. We've got our analytics director will sends out we use Slack for our team messaging for all team related stuff. We have a hitting thread in there, and he sends out the highest trackman exit velos after every game.
Oh, nice.
And guys want to get on the leaderboard. They want to get on there. And sometimes we'll put individual challenges on guys and compete. Like, hey, your attacking was way too steep. Let's see if you can get to 20 because you're at -10 right now, and being able to alter your swing, and that's your challenge. It's nobody else's but yours. And see if you can get to that spot within a few days or even a day. Can you really make an adjustment? So putting challenges in front of guys, we do it every day. And I think one of the biggest challenges we've had with this group is they've run off to such a good start and done so well that you got to keep putting some new challenges in front of them, because sometimes it's like, I don't know, we're 35-5. What else do you want us to do? And as much as they understand intellectually, like, we got to keep winning games, sometimes it's easy to go, it's just another Tuesday, and to continually every day put challenges in front of guys. They love it. They eat it up. And I told you, we talk a lot of shit in our hitting groups, our BP stuff, and they love that because it's all about keeping them like, hey, you're not that good, or guys they'll run 3 out to the pull side, and everybody starts yelling, pull side, pop only.
Nice.
They'll challenge you. You can't go center field tang. No oppo juice for you. And they love to get on each other and keep themselves humble, because they know they're all capable of some pretty cool stuff.
Oh, that's great. And you hit on one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and something I'm always curious about is, how do other teams take BP? So how do you guys take BP, and what's different about it?
Well, pregame is, you're somewhat limited in your options. We try and keep the rounds less formal and more field-based for individual guys. So we do some skill stuff in there, like everybody. But a lot of our stuff is, Tommy, you're working on going the other way. Armani, you're trying to pull it today, trying to get it in the air. And everybody's got their own thing that they're working on. We add some base running components to that. Coach Fontino usually runs the cage for us, and he's really, really good at challenging guys so that when they come to the field, they've got a lather going, and they've really challenged themselves to get their eyes and their field dialed in so they can go out on the field and really cut it loose and just let it hunt a little bit. At practice, we really try and challenge them in different ways. We almost never throw BP in practice because we want to give them just multiple looks. Or if we do throw it, it's, like I said, the lob BP or multiple arms, where it's not just a traditional, I'm trying to throw it to your barrel and hit it. So we try and mix and match as much as we can with multiple sight lines, angles, velocities, plate work, machines. And then, like I said, in pregame, it's about trying to get your dance rhythm down.
Sure.
And can I feel my way through this, and can I get myself where I want to go? We also challenge them to create their own pregame routine, and they're in charge of implementing that. So it's not I don't put a clipboard up with the rounds for today. That's not what I do. You come down and you've done your prep work. So maybe you're a med ball guy. You like to do some med ball throws, and then you like to hit some fly balls, or you like to do the balance bat or the short bat or the over and under load stuff. And you did your pre-work in the cage. You've done your ramp up phase. You challenged yourself. You've dialed in your cues, and then you come down to the field and you say, "Hey, I really feel like I need this today to get myself mentally and physically dialed in for the game ahead." And so it's all internal focus and individual focus on what they feel like they need for today. And I think there's a blend of some feel-good BP in there. Like, we want to try and hit homers. We want to try and drive balls, and we love that stuff. But it's also, our guys have embraced, too, like, man, I'm too spinny. Like, I can run it out to left field all the time if I want to, but it also makes me spinny if that's the only thing I think about. So today, I'm only going to try and hit líneas down the right field line for 3 rounds, see if I can do that, and challenging themselves in those ways. Because I tell them all the time, I said, I don't care what BP looks like. BP is not a beauty contest. It isn't for me to feel good about who's watching it. Like, oh, those guys are good. Coach Fergus got them dialed in. I don't care about that. And I think too often as coaches, BP needs to look good for us to feel like we're ready to play. Like, oh God, BP was terrible today. we drove balls into the ground, or we were late, or we hooked, or we had too many foul balls, or whatever, and it makes us feel bad. And I'm like, we try and take that away. Like, BP doesn't have to look good to be productive and to be preparatory. And so our guys know that, hey, what's your routine? What are you trying to do today? And if it's gross, backside, we have guys that sometimes all they do is hit crummy ground balls the other way for a whole round because it does something to their brain.
Sure.
So, okay, it's valuable. Like, we're not actually trying to do that, but does it get us on time, or does it get us wired in the right way? Fine, I'm okay with that. And then we'll launch some stuff, and we'll do whatever we need to do there.
I can't tell you how impressed I am about the autonomy that you give your players, and I know that's something that a lot of coaches talk about, but it's something that you're living through, and I think that that's absolutely fantastic. Well, before you go, I've got a couple of lightning-style questions for you and just a couple quick hitters. And so I want to know, what's the latest thing that you've learned that's gotten you really excited?
There's some mentality stuff just on human brain and recognition and fear decision making that I'm diving into. There's a book that I tell everybody to read. It's called The Psychopath Test, and it's literally about psychopaths. Like, it has nothing to do with baseball. It has nothing to do with teaching. It has nothing to do with anything other than it's fascinating what the human brain does and why. And so trying to dive into some of that stuff about why people who, and ultimately what psychopaths do, and everybody thinks about them as killers or evil people, but psychopathy is more than that, and it's ultimately it's the absence of empathy and understanding of how external cues affect my mood or my emotions, and ultimately it becomes often the absence of emotion, and it's the emotional attachment to something, right? And so they talk about the theory that there are maybe why certain CEOs or politicians are so successful is because they've stopped worrying about the external expectations or external social cues. It doesn't affect them that way. So they lose that fear of shame or embarrassment or they don't stop because they're like, they don't see it the same way. They just keep going. And so obviously I'm not encouraging anyone to go out and recruit psychopaths, but I think there's something we can learn from that ability to say what you put on me, I don't have to give it power.
Sure.
I can do it for myself, and I can stay with the process, and I can keep moving forward, and I can push through, and I don't stop because it's embarrassing that I'm not there yet. It's like a kid in the weight room who's not strong enough, and he doesn't want to go in there because he's ashamed, and he knows his buddy's going to give him, they're going to tease him, or he's going to look weak in front of, and the people that are able to push through that it isn't that they don't feel the embarrassment or shame, it's they don't let it control them, and they keep going and they push through it because they want to achieve that. And so how do we use those concepts to get normal kids to keep going and to push those outside expectations away, not give them the power over their day-to-day emotion? That's the thing we're working on a lot here, is trying to see if we can keep guys going and you mentioned the autonomy and the power. That's really what it's about too. You take control back of your own process and your own life, and don't let somebody else's expectations or judgments or values change what you're going to do. If you want to do it, go do it. And I'm fascinated by trying to get better at that and to create an environment where guys can really let go of all of that and just work and just get better.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so second question, what's something that you guys do in practice that your kids love?
What's that?
What's something that you guys do in practice that your kids just can't get enough of?
Oh, hit homers.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they really love that. I don't know if there's one thing. I think it's the environment that we do it in. We turn the music on. We let them laugh. We let them enjoy it, and we challenge them in fun ways and new ways. And we do some fun things. We have an internal sort of team theme for the hitters, and pitchers got involved this year too.
That's cool.
That we do. It's motorcycle club, so the hitter of the week gets a cut. So we had a custom leather vest made.
That's awesome.
And it's got our thing on the back, and the hitter of the week gets to wear that. They take their shirt off, put the cut on, and show the guns off.
Heck yeah.
And then we have they each get patches. They get patched in. for leader, mouth, energy, wrecker, all of those, sort of what they bring to the table. So we do some concepts like that where we keep it fun and exciting. We acknowledge guys. So I don't know that there's one thing that they enjoy most. You probably have to ask them, but I think ultimately we enjoy coming to the park every day and trying to get better, and that's what they respond to the best, I think, as much as anything.
No, I love that, and it's something that I'm sure that you enjoy that environment as well, and you enjoy coming to the park as well.
It's great. Yeah, it's just fun because we're doing this together, and we're going to try some stuff today. We're going to get better. We know that. We're going to have fun doing it. We're going to give each other a lot of grief and enjoy being around each other and those relationships that you build. That's why we all, I think, stay in coaching to a large degree. Is we love that relationship piece, the camaraderie, and being part of the team. And so if you embrace that and enjoy that every day, it's the greatest job in the world.
Oh, I love it, and I couldn't agree more. Last question. What are some of your favorite books and resources that have shaped your coaching career, or you talked about the Psychopath book, but what are some other ones that you could share for us?
Yeah, I mentioned Psychopath Test. I love that book. And I've read a lot of those. I think Phil Jackson's had a couple of his books that really hit home with me just on dealing with talented and emotionally intelligent people. And I think that what he did was so interesting in the way he dealt with a singular talented player and team leader in Jordan. And that was my wheelhouse. That's what I grew up. I grew up
of course.
in heyday. But that ability to blend all of those pieces, where you have definite role players, definite stars, people with incredible competitive drives, and some character flaws too. Impatient, lacked empathy towards others, probably in a lot of ways. But how do you blend all those people, and how do you do it in a way that isn't your iron fist or you imposing your will or your values on them? You do it with that, and they embrace them without even realizing that you've given that to them.
Right.
I'm fascinated by that, where you leave your fingerprints without pushing your hands on somebody, and that concept to me is really interesting. Phil's written a couple of his books have been incredible on that. Steve Kerr's stuff, I just devour that kind of stuff. I just think it's so interesting, and he's connected to a couple people. Pete Carroll and Michael Gervais are two guys that have worked together. Angela Duckworth and her book on grit. I got to spend some time with Pete, being at Washington and Seahawks. I got to spend an afternoon with him once that just was super illuminating, and all the stuff that he's put out there. But those concepts of how to get the really competitive people to be even more competitive and to embrace that environment. And I think kids these days want to compete, but sometimes they're a little scared to, or there's a bit of culture of, I'm not getting my opportunity or those sort of things. And some of it's warranted. I think it's a little overblown with kids shouldn't transfer if you're not getting a playing opportunity. They should if they're going to play somewhere else. But also there's something to compete today to get better than the guy next to you. And those people are great at that. I think that Pete, when he preaches with the Seahawks, has really had an effect on me. And then reading Angela's, like I said, her book on grit, some of her studies about those traits of personality and stick-to-itiveness and perseverance are fascinating to me. So I definitely tend to fall on the side of the psychological aspects of things and the interpersonal relationships and motivating people and pulling stuff out of them and challenging them and empowering them and embracing them and all those sort of things. It's a bit like parenting, I think, in a lot of ways. You can do all of those things. You can pat them on the butt. You can put your arm around them. You can yell at them. You can scold them. You can put them in timeout. You gotta be able to do all those things.
Sure.
So those are some of my favorite resources and people on the subject are some of those guys, because I think they're really, really at the top of their game.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna have to dig into some of the Phil Jackson stuff, because I love all of this other stuff that you put out, because it's fantastic. And so Donegal, I appreciate your time, and I know you guys have to play a game later today, but if you could just leave us with a couple of things, and the first one being, where can we find you online in case anyone wants to get in touch with you?
So Twitter is Coach Ferg.
Okay.
It's pretty easy. Track me down there. Also on Instagram at Donegal Fergus. A little bit of personal stuff mixed with our team stuff and some philosophy things. So those are two places you can grab me. You can also obviously go to our website, get my email, my cell phone's on there. Anybody that wants to reach out, I'm happy to chat about this stuff. I love young coaches and anybody that's willing to learn. And I think that's one of the really cool things about our game, where it's headed with podcasts like yours and ABCA and all the stuff those guys and Sheets and those guys are doing. I think it's really pulling the community together in a way that wasn't possible before. And I just think it's the coolest.
I love it, and I love the ABCA. I love Sheets as well, and we're all growing the game together. But
Absolutely.
I'm just going to open up the mic. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our listeners before you go?
No, just love your kids, coach them hard, and empower them to be great, because that's what we're all here for. If we're not helping them chase their dreams, then we're holding them back from chasing their dreams. And, I think that's the coolest thing about what we've done here at our place. Is and my boss, Andrew Check, he's just been incredible, and I give him so much credit for opening this thing up and letting us do it this way, and for him for embracing that concept as well. And we're going to love our guys. We're going to develop them, and we're going to embrace their growth. And sometimes it's going to be a struggle, and sometimes it's going to be a bit of a step back or a detour, and that's totally okay, and that's life. And we're just going to keep pushing them forward. So I'm so lucky to be around really cool people, and there's a lot of great people out there that are doing it the right way, and I'm glad that those people are out there, because it gives me faith in humanity.